Good morning, students. I hope you all are safe and healthy in your homes. So, students, today what we are going to study about is something that you use on everyday basis. So, let me ask you one question. Do you often wonder when to use a or an or the? Like, for example, when you ask your mother, I want a ball. Or if you wonder, you should say, I want the ball. Or I want an ball. So yes, this class is all going to be about learning when to use a, an or the. A, an or the all together is called articles. In articles, we learn how to use and when to use a, an and the. So let us begin our class for today. Articles are of two types. So we are going to divide the class also into two parts so that it is easier for us to understand the two types of article. First, we are going to study about the indefinite article, that is a and an. And then in the later part, that is part 2, we are going to talk about the definite article, that is the or the. So let us begin with our lecture on the indefinite articles, that is a and an. Now, before we begin to understand or to start studying about the a and an article, let us make sure or let us understand first when and how, in what circumstances do we have to use these articles, the indefinite articles, because there are certain rules that needs to be followed or that needs to be kept in mind when you're putting an article before a word, before anything you are using, before using a sentence. You have to keep certain rules and regulations in mind. So we begin with the first rule, that is when you mention someone or something for the first time. Now, when you are talking about something or when you're talking about someone that you haven't met before, or that you're meeting for the first time, or that someone, the person you're talking to is not familiar with that something or the someone you're talking about. So in that case, we use a or an. Like, for example, if we take, I saw a rainbow yesterday. Now, you are not familiar with rainbow on a daily basis. You saw a rainbow for the first time. And when did you see that? Yesterday. So, you're talking about something that you are seeing for the first time. So, you're going to use a for that. Fine. You cannot write, I saw the rainbow yesterday. It sounds like you see rainbow daily and you are familiar with rainbow, like on a daily basis. You see the rainbow coming out in the sky every day. But does that happen? No, it does not happen. For all of us, rainbow is like, when we see a rainbow, it's a big deal. So what do we say? We say that I saw a rainbow yesterday. Then the next example, I consulted an optician yesterday. Now, who is an optician? He's a doctor who is related to your eyes. So you consulted an optician yesterday, or you consulted so for that, do you see or do you go to a doctor on a daily basis? No, we don't. Do we? We don't. Fine. So when you're telling someone that you consulted an optician yesterday, it happened, or you're mentioning someone like for the first time. So you consulted an optician so for the first time, and that happened yesterday. Fine. I consulted the optician yesterday. If you would have written that, that means like you do consult the optician on a daily basis, and so you consulted him yesterday too. But that is not the case. Fine. Coming to the second rule, we'll talk about it. Now students, we all know about noun. Noun is a word that names some animal, place, thing or name. That is like, and then noun is like divided into common noun and proper noun. Fine. Common noun is something that is common, that is not definite, that is not proper. And then obviously proper noun is something that is very particular, that it has something very precise that we are talking about, some identity. So a or an are used for common noun, someone or something that is related to a group, that does not have or that has no individual identity. Fine. So common noun is that, and we use the indefinite article a or an in that way. For example, we take, it was a magnificent rainbow. Fine. Another rainbow example. Now rainbow, when I'm talking about a rainbow, I am not mentioning about some particular rainbow, that this rainbow that I'm talking about, I'm not doing that, but it was a magnificent rainbow like all the other magnificent rainbows. So it was a magnificent rainbow. Fine. It was not the magnificent rainbow, because all the rainbows are magnificent, correct? Every rainbow looks beautiful. Fine. Now the second example again of an optician. Now he is an optician in London. Now again, optician or a doctor, is it like that? Do we have one particular doctor in one area? No, it's not true. We have a lot of doctors in one area. So it's same for London. In London we have a lot of optician. Fine. So he is an optician, someone who is common, some work that is common in London. So he is an optician in London. Fine. Third rule, we don't even realize this, but this is so precise, that when we are talking about someone's job, like a teacher, he's a doctor, he's an engineer, he is a specialist, he is a scientist, he is a football player. So whenever we are talking about someone's profession, or whenever we are talking about someone's job, we always use the indefinite article, that is a or an. Like for example, you take, my mother is a nurse. Fine. Fred is an engineer. You don't say my mother is the nurse, because she is not the only nurse there, because again we talk about the common and proper noun. Fine. And Fred is an engineer, he is not the only engineer in the world or in a particular place. Fine. So he is an engineer like all the other engineers, or like talking about all the other professions. So you always remember, use a or an, that is the indefinite adjectives or articles, when we are talking about someone's profession. Okay. Now we are going to talk about, or we are going to decide on, why do we use now that we have learned about the rules to be used or to be kept in mind when we are using the indefinite article. We also need to decide when to use a or when to use an, correct? So for that, let us begin with the first rule. For a, we always use it before a consonant sound or a consonant word. Fine. And what is a consonant word or sound? If you people know about it, very good. But for the students who are a bit clueless about it or are not very sure, let me just tell you about it. So we all know about vowels, don't we? A, E, I, O, U are vowels. Now, other than the vowels, whatever we are left with, whatever sounds or whatever alphabets we are left with, the rest of them are consonant sounds or the words. Fine. So we are clear with consonant and vowel, right? Now let us look into the a and an. Now a is always used before the consonant sounds. Like for example, a book. a door. Now a book, B. B is a consonant word because B is not a vowel. Fine. Now coming to a door. A door is D is again a consonant. It is not a vowel. Fine. Now a hotel. A hotel, H is another consonant. It is not a vowel. Fine. Now we come to this example, a university. Now you must be thinking, if you have noticed that U is a vowel, then why are we using a before it, right? Now see students, before we check on the letter, we also have to make sure that the sound is also of vowel or is also of consonant sound. Okay? So for university, now university is U come, the sound is coming of V and not of that is umbrella, because in umbrella we have the clear sound of U. Fine. For that we use an. But here when we have university, which obviously is beginning with U, but then the sound is of V. So whenever we have such words, we always have exceptions in grammar where we have to break the rule. So this university is another word which starts with a vowel, but then we have to use a for it. Fine. Now let's come to the next example, that is a week. Very clear, W is not a vowel, so it is a consonant with word and sound. Yellow bag is another example of a where we use a. Now coming to the an, when do we use an? So I already told you that an is used before the vowel sound or before the vowel word or letter. Fine. So let's take the example, an egg. Now E is a vowel. Then we have an apple. Then we have an ice cream. A, I, all these are vowels. Then we have an umbrella. See, umbrella. It is not umbrella. It is umbrella. Very clear with the sound of U. Fine. So you use an before that. Then we have an R. Now you must be thinking, see, another exception here. You must be thinking that H, which is a consonant letter, why are we using an before it? And why are we including it in the vowel group? So to clear that, students, when you say R, you are not using the H sound. You're not using H sound. Rather, you are using O or R. Okay? So you're using something O, and for that reason, when you see the vowel A, E, I, O, R, so you have that sound of a vowel. You have the vowel sound in it. For that reason, we use an R. I hope you all are clear with this. I hope you're clear with the sounds. And this is something that does not come easy with to everyone, and it is not something easy. So you need a lot of practice. You need a lot of thinking for this. You need a lot of work to do before you understand this part. So make sure you practice it. Make sure you try to understand it. So you eventually will know what the sounds are like, what to use, which indefinite article to use before which word. Don't hurry up. Just try to sit and understand things. Now now that we have learned about the rules of the indefinite articles, and we have also learned which indefinite articles to be used when, we also need to learn when not to use an indefinite article, that is a or an. Fine. Now the first rule being, when we have some unaccountable noun. What is unaccountable? Something that cannot be counted. can you count when you take out rice in your plate? Can you count your rices, the amount of rice you are eating? Can you count 1, 2, 3? No, you cannot count, correct? So it is unaccountable. Then talking about how much milk did you drink yesterday? You can say I drank 1 cup of milk, but can you tell me how much was it? No, you cannot. It is unaccountable. You cannot count the drops, or you cannot count the amount of milk you drank. So it is another unaccountable noun. Fine. For such unaccountable nouns, we use some, or we do not use a or an. For something that is unaccountable, we cannot use the indefinite articles, right? Like for example, I ate some rice yesterday. Fine. Now you cannot say I ate a rice yesterday, or neither can you say I ate and rice yesterday. Can you? You cannot, right? So what do you use? Mostly you use I ate some rice yesterday. Then coming to the next rule, we have plural nouns. We do not use the indefinite articles for the plural nouns. What is plural? Do you know about singular and plural noun? Singular is something that is one, and plural is something that is many, more than one. Fine. So you do not use a or an for something that is more than one. Fine. Like now when you say I ate some cherries yesterday, cherries is plural. Now had you said I ate 1 cherry yesterday, that would have mattered in a different way. But now that this is written cherries, which is plural, you never write I ate cherries yesterday. I ate an cherries yesterday. You always use, or mostly use, some. For this reason, I ate some cherries yesterday. So you don't have to count, but you know it was not 1. Fine. So these are some of the rules that needs to be taken care of when you are talking about the indefinite articles, that is a and an. Now in the second part, we will be talking about the definite article, and also at the end you will be given some exercises to be done, and I hope you do them, and I'm very sure you will be able to understand everything after you have done your work and your exercises. Thank you.